Okay, this is a reading of my piece today, and it's entitled Harlan Ellison Soiree Dream. Part 1, Harlan's Bedroom. And there I was, just bloody now, really, unaccountably an attendee, a quiddity. Except that, hazily, in some quantum just before scene, I was accepting an invitation from the man himself to attend a dinner at Ellison Wonderland that next night. "Will you come?" he softly asked with a glint in the eye. Don't know, Harlan. Let me check my schedule. In that implacable instant logic, I was there, with other interlocutors of strange bent, themselves overfortunate to be invited to his Nibs digs. It smacked of a free-range happening, a festooning cast of characters, in some sort of filmy Fellini stage play engaged in behaviors inexplicable, explicable, and some downright spastically surrealist. Too much of all of them to note in the moment or even recall properly. All of this occurred in some magical manse area of no space located within the mythic reaches of the aforesaid Ellison abode. Room upon room of abstruse artifacts, some simply piled upon themselves in arbitrary ziggurats, others with an almost dungeonesque cast, with hammer horror, alcove lighting replete with flows of eldritch flotsam and jetsam. There I was, suddenly, as it were, with a fellow celebrant in what I supposed to be Harlan's bedroom. I noticed a rather unkempt theme prevalent, echoing in my head a fragment of an interview Harlan had given. "Well, my system is simple and inescapably efficient. I reach down or over or under, and that thing I need is instantly to hand." We amble or drift out. Part 2, the banquet table. Revelers are present in each priory of the vibrating flat, all ages, all descriptions, variously in discussion, leering ironically at me. It was haunting me throughout this engagement that I had a journey pending the next day, early, and having attended this gig might decision me off from making it. I thought at once, this is the best night of my life, and it could be the worst. Spilling into some other room, there was a huge banquet table. All invitees are seated haphazardly, eating, and at various stages of an inebriate discussion. I sat down, somewhat self-conscious. Most of the diners had flagons of whiskey at hand. I sat for a few beats, and then noticed a large parrot fetch a large bottle of Blackbush Irish whiskey from a shelf and slowly waddle over to me, proffering it with an outstretched wing. I accepted, naturally. Taking my time to examine it, I lost my turn to my neighbor, who casually grabbed it and summarily upended it, declaring it good, but pretty rough. My other neighbor did the same. Harlan was ensconced at the end of the table, registering almost all the activity with high bemusement and a sort of perfect disengagement. Part 3, Harlan's library. The scene implodes and shifts, and I'm in some other room with someone or other I know. The room is, shall we say, uniquely canted, strangely pendulant. It's some antique wooden parlor, layered with paneling, floor to ceiling, which seems to lean out over the street, some 3 or 4 floors up. A Dalinian parlor, then? My compadre says very nonchalantly, check this out. He throws some sort of switch, trips some lever, and a section of the wall begins to slide up, achingly slowly, with attendant creakings and scrunchings. It continues to, interiorly, slide and lengthen itself until it extends far above the ceiling, and it actually keeps telescoping upwards until it can be seen out of the slit it creates, pending upwards some 3 further floors. It halts its attenuations, and deeper, more basso profundo booms and armature-engaging gears are heard moving beneath our feet. I lurch to the window, and I'm witness to an astounding sight. A very gradually unfolding fractal honeycomb of infolded bookshelves is protruding itself like a Borgesian origami sculpture out from the flow below us into the free air. It finally creaks to a stop. The room we are in tilts frighteningly, precipitously over the resultant extruded bibliothèque. I feel distinctly vertiginous and fear the whole object introuvable will come crashing down at any moment. I hold my breath. My friend merely winks, laughs softly, and throws the whole thing into reverse. I asked the fellow, would Harlan approve of what we just did? Of course, he knows. I've shown it before. Part 4, the TV room. Sidling about, I greet other partiers. They survey me. Some daftly dressed waif in jeans wearing a scarf I purloined from Harlan's moi and a piece of golden rope about my neck. Look at you, remarks one of them. You could have at least cleaned up before coming. The other notes, he looks like some sort of brainiac. I leave the two and walk past the banquet group, looking into a salon area with a TV on. I see Harlan deep into some sort of yogic teaching session with some females, giving them very specific directions. I see that it's actually a patio area with a pool and some sort of small basin or bath, which I notice has a Selectric typewriter couched within it from the 60s or so. I suspect this may be a personal goad Harlan has installed for himself. So in a wink, he can climb into the basin and bang out a story in that strange position as an impromptu challenge to himself. I can't resist, so I clamber in. The typewriter is loaded with some sort of paper. I switch it on, but none of the buttons seem to function. I also notice that the paper seems to be cashier paper, too small to really get down with. Part 5, the exchange. Off the banquet area in a small room, I notice Harlan banging through the house in a hurry, remarking, how many rooms does this damn house have anyway? I motion to him, hey, Harlan. He brusquely brushes past me. I'm talking to Lloyd now. 2 beats, and he emerges again, tells me, hey, thanks for coming. I say, echoing him, thanks for coming. Sure, of course. He walks over to a shelf and picks up some package with cellophane wrap, what looks like a gun, and shells contained therein. Look at this, he implores. It's a huge pistol with a long barrel, packed together with myriad small tools and loads of shells. This is from 1877, mint condition, he says proudly. I marvel and observe one could really get his marshal on with that. Oh, yeah, says Harlan. We sit at a nearby table. I clumsily, idly knock over a small wooden object and point at it accusatorily. Easy, plinth. Harlan cracks up. End of dream.